A security guard films a shadow figure in an empty plane at 3 a.m. The ghost of a World War II airman is captured during a paranormal investigation, and CCTV records a man crawling into an X-ray machine, and more. These are mysterious things captured on camera at airports. This footage comes from April 26, 2013 near Rafael Hernandez Airport in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. It's recorded by an infrared camera on board a U.S. Customs and Border Protection aircraft during a routine flight over the area. You see this fast-moving object, and as it moves over the water, it looks like it suddenly splits into two separate objects. One of them appears to continue across the shoreline while the other seems to head toward the ocean. Later, the U.S. Department of Defense's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office reviewed the case, and they figured the split wasn't actually a split at all. It was probably two separate objects the whole time, moving close together in a straight line. From the angle of the camera and the way infrared picks it up, they briefly looked like one thing breaking into two, but that still doesn't explain what these things were. This security camera footage was captured from multiple angles. Residential doorbell cameras caught it as well. On January 31st, 2025, a small jet was captured falling out of the sky in Philadelphia. The footage is pretty terrifying. The plane drops out of the clouds, slams directly into the concrete sidewalk, and instantly erupts into a massive fireball. The plane was an air ambulance flying through heavy fog and rain. On board were 6 people, a captain, a co-pilot, a doctor, a paramedic, and a young pediatric patient being flown home to Mexico with her mother. The jet took off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport, heading out for a quick refueling stop in Missouri, but just 40 seconds into the flight, something went very wrong. The plane completely vanished from radar, diving toward the ground at 11,000 feet per minute. Air traffic control reported that the pilots were talking to the tower right up until the final seconds, and they never once sent out a distress call or indicated anything was broken. The jet came down right next to a local mall. 4 homes were destroyed, 17 other buildings were damaged. Everyone on board the plane died instantly. 2 people died on the ground, and 23 others were injured. On March 22, 2016, 3 men took a taxi from an apartment to the Brussels airport. The driver noticed that their suitcases left a kind of chemical smell in the cab. He didn't think much of it at the time. At 7:58 that morning though, 2 blasts hit the departure hall 9 seconds apart, both in the check-in area. The men had been carrying large suitcases packed with explosives. CCTV footage came out showing all 3 men pushing luggage carts through the terminal. People noticed something kind of odd. 2 of them were wearing a single black glove on their left hand, which investigators believe were covering the detonators. A 3rd device had also been brought in, but never went off. One of the men, Mohammed Abrini, walked out of the airport before the blasts and left his behind. About an hour later, a 4th attacker set off a device in the middle carriage of a metro train. 32 people died in total, 16 at the airport, 16 in the metro, and over 300 more were injured. It was the deadliest attack on Belgium since World War II. Meanwhile, the taxi driver heard about the attacks on the radio on his way home, so he went straight to a police station, and within hours, police were at the flat that he picked the men up from. Inside, they found a suitcase device that hadn't made it into the cab because there just wasn't enough room, along with materials to make explosives. 2 of the airport attackers were arrested on April 8th, 16 days after the attacks. The FBI's facial recognition software helped confirm Abrini as the man seen walking out of the airport in the footage. All 5 attackers had also been involved in planning the November 2015 Paris attacks. On January 24th, 2011, at around 4:30 in the afternoon, at Domodedovo International Airport in Moscow, a blast went off inside the arrivals area. It hit right in the middle of the crowd. 37 people were killed, and more than 170 were injured. The explosion basically tore straight through the busiest part of the terminal at the worst possible time. CCTV footage was later played on the news showing emergency crews pulling people out as fast as they could. Later on, investigators figured out the attacker was a 20-year-old man from the North Caucasus region. He also died in the explosion. But after that, it turned into a wider investigation. Police started going through people connected to him. His younger brother was accused of helping put the device together, along with a few others from the same area. By the end of 2011, several people had been arrested. Then in 2013, the case finally made it to court. 3 of the men involved were handed life sentences. Another was given 10 years for helping with the preparation. This one happened at a Mexico City International Airport back in 2016. A security guard named Francisco Hernandez experienced something that he wouldn't have believed himself if he hadn't captured it on camera. He was finishing up the overnight shift when he heard loud banging sounds coming from inside of one of the parked planes. It was around 3 in the morning, right near the end of his shift, so he went on board to check it out, because that was pretty strange. The cabin was dark except for the beam from his flashlight as he moved down the aisle. Then he noticed something near the back of the plane. It was a dark figure slowly leaning out from around the corner at the end of the aisle and then pulling back in. At first, Francisco wasn't sure what he was seeing. He took a few steps forward, thinking it might have just been a trick of the light, but when he noticed the thing move again, he knew that he was not imagining things. Someone or something was in that plane. Utterly terrified, he bolted out of there. This happened in an airport in China. A passenger went through security and started loading his bags onto the conveyor belt like usual. Staff were guiding him through the usual screening process, but somewhere along the line, he clearly misunderstood an instruction, and instead of walking through the body scanner, he climbed right onto the conveyor belt, meant for luggage. Still holding his belongings, he lay down and was carried forward all the way into the X-ray machine. Security staff rushed over trying to stop him, but by then he was already halfway inside the scanner. They must have thought the guy just had way too much to drink, but it turned out he was an inexperienced traveler. It was just a gross misunderstanding, and he will unfortunately be haunted by for the rest of his life. Or maybe he's super well adjusted and was able to just laugh it off. I would not be. Back in 2020, a paranormal investigation group called Retford Ghost Hunters got permission to explore Gamston Airport in Nottinghamshire, England, which used to be a Royal Air Force base during World War II. They actually weren't expecting much. The airport managers had told them there hadn't really been many reports of paranormal activity there before, but while they were inside one of the old wartime hangars, they captured something strange on camera. Under the wing of an aircraft sitting in the hangar, there appeared to be a dark figure standing there. Looking back at the image, it looked like a man wearing some kind of cap and uniform. And what made the whole thing more unsettling was what they found out afterward. On August 4th, 1944, a Wellington bomber took off from the base and crashed near the Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire border. The plane nosedived and exploded shortly after takeoff, killing all 5 Canadian crew members on board. Finally, we have a story from a now deleted Reddit user, which goes as follows. I used to work nights doing camera surveillance at an airport. Mostly boring stuff. Lost luggage, the occasional drunk guy wandering into the wrong area, but one night around 1 a.m., me and another guy were watching cameras near one of the closed terminals. The whole section was empty, except for a cleaning crew on the other side of the building. It was this hallway connecting 2 gates that passengers normally wouldn't use unless the airport was packed. One camera showed a woman standing near the end of it. She was standing there near the wall with her head slightly down. The problem was nobody could figure out how she got there. We checked the earlier footage and never saw her walk into the hallway. 1 minute it was empty, and then she was just there the next camera refresh. The camera's updated every couple seconds, so stuff got missed sometimes, but it still felt strange because there weren't many ways into that area. So we radioed one of the floor guys to go check. While he was walking there, we kept watching the camera. She didn't move the entire time. The floor guy turns the corner into the hallway, and she's gone. We checked the bathrooms, the stairwell, the locked maintenance door nearby. Nobody there. We rewound the footage to see if we missed her leaving, and right before the floor guy entered the hallway, the camera freezes for maybe 1 second. When it comes back, she's not there anymore. After that, nobody liked that hallway much. Even during the day, it had this eerie feeling about it. And that has been the video. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next one.